Welcome back to Tremendous's RimWorld Chronicles. This is episode 5 of Volume 1. We pick up right after the team took down 2 Yatakans, with Tremendous taking the female raider as a prisoner. Let's get back into the story. With the battle won and the group relatively unscathed, Tremendous was feeling terrific. With the potential of a new member joining them, or at a minimum, the use of their prisoner as an endless hemorrhaging producer put him in fantastic spirits. He hadn't felt himself since the loss of Tuck, and thanks to recent events, he felt like a fog had been lifted from his soul. So he decided to do something he hadn't done in almost a month. He decided to explore the ruined buildings in their territory once again. He let the others know what he was doing and then headed out early in the morning so he could spend the day exploring. There was a building to the west that really caught his attention. He could feel there was something valuable inside it. Maybe gold, maybe advanced weaponry, maybe even some more cryopods with potential friends inside. He felt giddy with excitement at the potential. He made his way into the building without issue, and as usual, the first handful of rooms were mostly full of trash and scrap. The scrap would be useful. They could always use more steel, but Tremendous wanted to find something truly valuable. He knew something good was near. He could feel it. He made his way into a partially collapsed hallway and had to forge a path across it. He made his way to a door that was slightly warm to the touch. He didn't know why exactly, but he knew whatever was behind this door was what he was here to find. It was almost as if something, or someone, behind the door was calling to him. The thrill of claiming his prize made him throw all caution to the wind. He threw open the door and froze in place as he found himself starting down the barrel of a mechanoid's weapon array. The mechanoid was known as a Scorcher, and the weapon was a massive flamethrower. The mechanoid didn't hesitate for a moment before showering Tremendous with waves of chem-fueled fire and pain. Tremendous was caught flat-footed and had no opportunity to dodge the Scorcher's attack. The flames engulfed him, and he fell to the ground, rolling around in a futile attempt to extinguish himself. The pain he felt was world-shattering. As he rolled on the floor screaming, he bumped up against something very hard. The unexpected impact caught his attention just long enough for him to see a blue-skinned man with pale white hair pounding on the plastiglass of a cryopod. Before he could give what he was seeing any more thought, the Scorcher blasted him again, making conscious thought impossible as he continued to burn alive. There was nothing he could do but scream and wish for death. Eventually, reality shrank away, and he laid still, the fire devouring his flesh, blood, and bone. It had been hours since Tremendous left to explore the surrounding buildings. The rest of the colonists went about their day as normal. Blackshade researched new tech and tinkered with his mechanoid friends. Smith farmed, and Vortex cooked while Dai drew on the floor. Tom was in the stable looking after their camels when he noticed black smoke billowing from one of the buildings. He knew that building was one that Tremendous had wanted to investigate for some time. He was positive he saw him walk towards it this morning. Tom was more annoyed than concerned, but still went to bring this to the attention of the rest of the men. Once everyone was gathered, they tried to reach Tremendous via the radio, but got nothing but static in response. It was getting late, and the smoke was only getting thicker. It was Smith that made the decision to go check on their friend. Armed with only the clothes on his back and his trusty new machine pistol, Smith ran towards the smoke, his concern growing the closer he got. As he entered the building, the acrid stink of burning garbage and rank smoke choked him. But there was another scent that made his skin crawl. It was the smell of charred meat. Smith rounded the corner of a hallway that was blistering hot and came upon what was left of his friend, charred and still burning in the doorway. Without thinking, Anders Smith ran to Tremendous' side and put out the flames before throwing his friend's ravaged body over his shoulder and running back to their base. He never saw the Scorcher, who had left the room to scan for new threats. Anders Smith raced towards the base with Tremendous. He had been positive his friend was dead, but the occasional moans of pain that escaped him proved otherwise. How he was still alive was a mystery to him. Tremendous' body was burned so badly and so completely that his rescue effort almost felt futile. As he ran, he tried to keep Tremendous as still as possible, but the jostling caused one of his fingers to fall off and his right leg to shift in a way that made it look detached. As Anders Smith got within earshot of their base, he screamed for help, which alerted the men inside to his plight. Vortex was the colonists' resident medic and directed Anders Smith to bring Tremendous to his death rest chamber. Tremendous was a sanguiphage, and Vortex knew that was the only reason he was still alive. Instead of dying, his body entered into an emergency death rest state, which gave Vortex time to operate and hopefully save his life. Vortex worked diligently throughout the night, cutting, stitching, and removing blackened flesh as carefully as he could. Despite his best efforts, there was nothing he could do to save Tremendous's leg, so he amputated it in order to preserve his life. As the sun rose the next morning, Vortex sighed in exhaustion and relief. Tremendous was going to live, but he had lost his right leg, a finger, and his nose was permanently shattered. There were prosthetics in the world that could replace the appendages, but currently they had no access to them. In the meantime, they fashioned a pair of crutches for Tremendous to use when he woke up. When that would be, though, was anybody's guess. A day had barely passed when a group of traders arrived in their territory. These traders didn't deal in wares or babbles. They dealt in flesh. The colonists were taken aback at first when they realized these traders dealt in slaves. Their first instinct was to attack and free the people they were holding like livestock, but cooler heads prevailed. The colony was low on manpower, and the caravan had almost triple their numbers. Victory through violence was unlikely for the team. After some conversation, they came to understand that things worked differently on this world, and the people the slavers were bartering with were willing participants in the trade. The savagery of this world had reduced many people to bullet-riddled corpses or starving skeletons. The promise of being taken care of in exchange for labor was very appealing to people that couldn't survive on their own. With Tremendous in a perpetual death rest and the group being shorthanded, Blackshade made a command decision. He traded the woman that had taken prisoner for one of the slaves the slavers had for sale. The woman they purchased went by the name Marjo. She was a lithe woman that was not fully human. She came from the genie subclass of human, known for their hyper-intelligence, slight frames, weak constitutions, and social ineptitude. Marjo was a very kind person and a nudist, a trait the other men noticed immediately. Behind his back, the other men openly declared Blackshade to be a pervert. Not that Margot was in any danger of unwanted advances. She was a hand-to-hand expert, as deft with a knife as she was with technology. Her addition to the colony was as valuable as it was necessary. The group welcomed her with open arms and earned respect. A week passed by quietly. Margot took over the researching responsibilities for the colony and did an amazing job. This freed Blackshade up to do other things, like redesign the deeper parts of the buildings for things like extra bedrooms, a recreation room, and a facility to house the waste produced by the mechanoids he was building. Every time they recharged themselves, the waste they created was so toxic they had to make sure it was contained far from the main colony. The setup of the toxic waste warehouse was fortuitous, as shortly after it was complete, a local friendly faction, the Cosmic Alliance, sent a request asking if the colonists would take a large amount of their accumulated waste and store it for them indefinitely. In return, they offered Glitterworld medicine and a decent amount of uranium. The medicine would be incredibly useful, but they almost turned down the offer before Margot enthusiastically argued for it. She told them the uranium would be incredibly useful once she figured out a few new technologies, and that she could safely store it until she did. The team offered no further argument and agreed to the Cosmic Alliance's request. The waste packs arrived within a day, an hour before the medicine and uranium did. The group was just starting to sort out the logistics of hauling so much waste across their territory and into the warehouse when Tremendous came hobbling into the planning room. It did the group's morale good to see their de facto leader up and mobile again, even if only partially. His vampire genealogy had helped him heal quickly, but his leg was still gone, and the burns were still obvious on his body. Still, his spirits were high, which only bolstered the rest of the colony. That's when the intruder alarms began blaring. 3 berserk, manhunting pandas had invaded their territory and were sprinting towards their front gates. The colonists mobilized immediately to meet this threat. Everyone moved to defend the colony without exception. One panda would have been a difficult fight. 3 man-hunting pandas had the potential to kill all of them and destroy everything they had built here. Fate smiled on the colonists on this day, however, as the path the rabid pandas took caught the attention of the Scorcher mechanoid that almost killed Tremendous. The pandas saw the mechanoid as it rushed outside and changed course to intercept the machine. The ensuing fight saw the Scorcher get ripped to shreds by the bloodthirsty bears, but not before it severely burned one of the pandas and seriously hurt another. The intervention of the Scorchers also provided the team time to get into position behind their sandbag barrier to better rain down fire on the threats. As the bears came charging towards their fortification, everyone could see the crazed look in their eyes. Scaria was a terrifying disease. The first panda was cut down before it could reach the fortifications. The colonists' hail of gunfire too much for it to tank. The second bear, half dead from its fight with the Scorcher, trampled over one of 2 wooden traps they had erected weeks ago, slowing its charge and allowing the colonists to gun it down long before it could reach them. The final bear succumbed to its injuries before it made it out of the building. The fire and claws of the Scorcher proving to be too much for the bear to endure. The colonists breathed a heavy sigh of relief before collecting the corpses for butchering. The meat would be used for the celebration feast. The hides would be used for new garments for the entire colony. Today was a good day. colonists ate well on panda meat and enjoyed their new fluffy clothing. The sudden influx of calories and comfort fueled their work and even bolstered some of their curiosity. Vortex, in a rare moment of cabin fever, decided to go out and explore the area. He'd been cooped up in his kitchen for weeks, butchering, cooking, brewing, and teaching young Dai the intricacies of drug making. He wandered out a few miles from this fortress, just enjoying being out in nature for a change. As he wandered, he spotted something metallic deep inside the nearby woods. Throwing caution to the wind, he strode boldly into the woods, pushing vegetation out of his way as he made his way closer to the strange object hidden by the foliage. When he finally reached the object, he felt all sensation leave his body, but only for a moment. What he'd found was a piece of a grav ship, and the core was still intact. Broken corpses of mechanoids were scattered all around, along with hundreds of plasteel panels needed for the construction of such a ship. Without wasting a moment, Vortex freed the core from the wreckage and redeployed it closer to their building. The core hummed mildly as its internal stabilizers adapted to its new surroundings. Vortex spent the rest of the afternoon rushing back and forth from the crash site, collecting every plasteel panel he could find. He knew that if they could collect enough steel, this core could be their ticket off this planet. It would take years to complete, but once they did, the universe would be their home once again. He could barely contain his excitement as he ran to inform the others. He planned to cook something very special for dinner to commemorate this discovery. He was very aware he may have just found their salvation. The colonists were encouraged by Vortex's discovery, and efforts to reconstruct the grav ship were in full swing. They had fabricated the structure using steel they collected from the scarp they'd found and what they could scratch out of the local hills. Their supply of steel dwindled quickly, as the project was thirsty for the material. Smith, being a dirt mole, had some familiarity with mining and took it upon himself to work the local formations in order to collect as much steel as he could. Smith worked tirelessly, mining steel out of a nearby cave. And while his mining skills were honed with the effort, his construction skills were not. Harvesting so much material from the cave weakened the overall structure. Without warning, there was a scream over the shared comms, a sound like an explosion, and then radio silence. Everyone knew what those sounds meant. Smith had been caught in the collapse of the cave and was seriously injured or dead. Blackshade hurried to the cave to check on his friend, and what he found gave him little hope. The cave was partially collapsed, a dark smear of red, the only indicator of where Smith had been. Blackshade, overcome with grief, began digging at the rubble, shifting the stones and debris out of the way, hoping against hope that his friend was still alive. Unfortunately for Blackshade, all his effort only resulted in the cave collapsing even more, crushing him under the weight of thousands of tons of stone. In less than an hour, 2 founding members of the colony were killed, taking their gardener, researcher, and mechanoid handler all at once. This was a dark day for the colony. And this will be where we put down the story for now. Go and hug one of your favorite colonists. You never know when a bad decision might end up bringing the cave down on their head. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tremendous's RimWorld Chronicles. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, please feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.